Okay, so we started collaborating with Jita, I think many years ago, probably 40 years ago.
86.
86.
No. 82.
81. In fact,
81, yes.
Christian visited USM 1979.
81. In 81, I was in Grenoble for my studies in 81.
With
last year.
Professor Vauquois.
Oh yeah, Professor Vauquois. Okay. So we are in the same Jita family. So
yeah.
we started with the collaboration started with USM intended to implement a machine translation system.
USM is the university in Penang, in the north of Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay.
USM, University Sains Malaysia.
Malaysia,
Sains
yes.
Malaysia.
And at that time, we installed the system over the IBM mainframe. And I have a chance to use the system around 1986 when I joined USM as an undergraduate student. And after that, I continue my postgraduate study, specialized in the structured string, STCGs, the static grammar.
Yeah.
Which we intend to use it to define or specify the linguistic information in a more user-friendly manner.
Yeah. Okay.
My job as a PhD was to implement the interpreter for this static grammar for STCG. And in fact, it's quite interesting enough. I think 2-3 years ago, Vincent's have a group implemented the interpreter.
A group is myself. Huh? No. Okay, there was a small group developing the rules for STCG analyzer and generator.
Okay, so started with that. Next, after I got my PhD, I moved to the example-based machine translation system, which basically makes use of the SSTC mechanism, structured string tree correspondent annotation schema, to annotate the parallel sentences so that we can associate the sentences with the deeper linguistic representation. For example, the dependency tree, part of speech tagging, the lemma of the word. So all this annotation will enable us to perform example-based machine translation in a more richer manner.
Yeah.
Okay. So unfortunately, when the SMT, statistic machine translation, become popular, we feel that no matter how much we have done, it might not be better than the Google's SMT. So from that time onward, I basically focus on using this SSTC as a representation to assist in the CAT2, computer-aided translation, meaning to use it to annotate the translation memory so that we can retrieve the translation memory in a more flexible manner to assist the translator in doing the post-editing of the machine translation result. The SMT result is quite good, so we focus more on post-editing. We call it MTPE, MT post-editing. So that is my focus. That was my focus for a while. And for this work, I basically collaborating with the ASEAN partner. We have actually ASEAN NT project which is basically collaborating between all the researchers in machine translation over ASEAN 10 countries. And I try to share the system with them to work further on this machine post-editing based on the SSTC. And we call this as a SiSTeC system, computer-aided translation based on SSTC. Okay, so when I collaborating with one of my partner in Myanmar, working on this, they happen to have quite interesting request, asking me to look into the possibility of performing computer-aided translation or machine translations for the Buddhist content. There are quite rich Buddhist content in Myanmar for the practice. And many of the ASEAN countries actually visited there to attend the retreat. And many from China, they have difficulty to understand what the talk is about. So the university I'm collaborating with, we spend some time trying to see how to make use of the Google tools. At that point of time, I think it's about 4 or 5 years ago. There are many APIs for machine translation, API for speech recognition, which are actually quite good already for us to develop some kind of delay interpretation system to translate and interpret the a talk or a speech.
Yeah.
Okay, so for that, I started this effort of SiSTeCATi, meaning computer-aided translation and interpretation based on the SiSTeC system. Okay, we try to see how the annotation schema can help in speeding up this translation and interpretation for the availability of a speech in different languages. Probably not simultaneous, but it can be delayed for a few minutes in order for it to start to live stream in different languages. So I have developed some different components to this purpose, mainly using Google API. And few months ago or half a year ago, we have a great tool of GPT, which provided much better API for most of the linguistic ability I'm using so far with Google API. So I spent some time to try out this API and see how much improvement it can actually bring to this remote interpretation system. And in fact, it also has many other API which can enhance many aspects of this system. And that is what I'm going to demo, and we can probably discuss to see how it can be improved further. So here I'm basically using this video, assuming if this is the live stream video, then how are we going to process it in order to output some delay remote interpretation? Okay, so here this is a speech given by
Monsieur le Président de la Banque Centrale Européenne, cher Mario Draghi. Monsieur le Président de la République, cher Sergio, Madame la Chancelière, cher Angela, Monsieur le Ministre-Président du Land de Hesse.
Okay, so given a video like this, we can always segment it into a smaller segment. So for GPT, it still produces quite reasonable good result, even though I segment it to 8 seconds. The context is still good enough for GPT to recognize quite well. So now we will try to see what is the result look like. Okay. So here, I basically retrieve segment by segment. So for this segment, it's basically around 8 seconds.
Monsieur le Président de la Banque Centrale Européenne, cher Mario Draghi.
Is it clear for you to hear? Okay, so
Yeah,
here,
it's okay. Yeah, okay.
okay, so here I think these have no mistake.
Centrale Européenne,
Apart
cher
from
Mario.
the question mark.
Monsieur le Président de la République, cher Sergio, Madame la Chancelière, chère Angela, Monsieur le Ministre-Président du Land de Hesse.
So here, basically, in order to recognize the width in between the cutting, I also take additional 2 seconds before each segment, so that it can allow us to see what is the continuous between the 2 segments. So here, for this one, it's already available earlier, so I just cut it. And then for this one, probably is going to be the next one. So probably I will just keep it for the next segment.
Ministre-Président du Land de Hesse. Madame la Présidente élue de la Commission européenne, chère Ursula, Madame la Présidente désignée de la Banque Centrale Européenne.
Okay. So here, probably we'll stop.
Landes, it's not correct. Huh?
Which one? Oh, here. Okay. So as you pointed out, so this is D.
H-E-S-S-E. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Désignée de la Banque Centrale Européenne, chère Christine. Mesdames et messieurs les commissaires, les ministres et les gouverneurs, mesdames et messieurs.
Okay, so here actually is not the end of the sentence here. This one is actually should be continued above. Okay, but I think I should put it into 2 parallel columns so that it's easier for me to modify. But this is what need to be modified in order for each of the segment, it represents a full sentence so that it can be translated later on by GTP in the better quality. So here the cutting criteria.
Gouverneurs, mesdames et messieurs, chers amis. Si nous sommes si nombreux aujourd'hui à Francfort, autour de vous, cher Mario.
Okay, so the cutting criteria is basically to
And
yes.
If you just leave one big segment with 4 small segments, the result will be different.
Yes, for machine translation, if it's not a full sentence, then the result is quite different. Because GPT basically take consideration of the whole sentence as a context to translate. But we also don't want to do in a bigger segment because it will then take longer time to produce a result. So we have to find the best segments length in order to keep the quality at the same time speed up the producing a result.
Okay.
Autour de vous, cher Mario. Ce n'est pas seulement saluer un mandat bien mené à la présidence de la Banque.
Sorry?
You said it takes 8 seconds or 8 minutes to output the ASR?
Oh, no, each of these is about 8 seconds.
Why is it so long? Normally it should be quite instantaneous.
Oh, no. I mean the length of the speech.
Okay.
Result. So
I think you were talking about recognition time.
no, recognition is quite fast. But from my testing, I think about 6 to 8 seconds is what normally a speaker will produce a complete sentence.
The text segmentation, you mean?
Yes. So here.
I think
Okay.
you should, I don't know if it is important, but in the segment, subsegment 5, I think, mesdames, messieurs, chers amis, you have to stop there, because after, si nous sommes si nombreux aujourd'hui, it's the beginning of the real talk.
Okay. So this one, instead of comma, is full stop.
That's right. Full stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the.
Okay.
Maybe a new segment.
So,
Mesdames et messieurs is the end of the previous of the fourth one.
in this case, then probably it might be better to just continue it to the above segment. So that it stop fully, rightly. So here, it finish everything. Then only go to this one. Then only go to this one. Okay, so
Yeah, you can, and the 5 and 6 can be combined.
oh, the 5 and 6 can be combined. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a full stop still here or comma?
No, it's no, it's the you don't have full stop, just the same sentence.
Comma.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We will save the script up to this point. European. Okay. Okay, so it will continue in this way. So here, since the automatic speech recognition is quite good, so the post editor probably is more of making sure of each segment is good for later on the machine translation to perform more accurate result. Okay. Next, we can now look at the machine translation.
With SiSTeC.
Yes. English.
Yeah, you will translate into English. Your French to English is as good as Chinese to English, or?
Which one?
You are going to translate into English?
Yes. But it can also be translated into Chinese. But actually what I have recommended to my ASEAN partner is because it is not easy to find translator between, for example, Thai and Chinese. So it's probably better for every of these ASEAN language translated into English first. Then from English, we will translate into all other languages. So at the moment, we use English as a pivot.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so for example, just now we have already transcribed these few segments. Over here, we can use ChatGPT machine translation to translate. So here, Mr. President. Okay. Here, I also add another line, which is basically ChatGPT also allow improvement of the translation. The translation basically they try to reflect the source sentence, but sometimes it might not be a good English equivalent because the structure might be different. So you can always ask ChatGPT to improve further the translation so that it's reflect more English way of mentioning this content. So for example here, instead of Mr. President of European Central Bank, dear Mario, it could be dear Mario, President of European Central Bank. So we can decide which one is better. Okay. Huh? So if we feel that this is more English way of translating, then we can make use of this. So there are many linguistic ability of ChatGPT which can be referred to help us in performing the translation. So the same here. Okay. And at the moment, it's a bit slow because I'm calling the API one by one. But it can be faster if I can combine it together. Okay, so this one, Mr. President. President Commission. No, I think this one is probably quite similar. So far, I can understand the English quite okay, so I think the translation is okay. I don't quite understand the source language, but the
You understand the target one.
English target look fine. Yes. So just now here, it should finish here by addressing everybody. Okay.
It's strange that you have exactly the same characters in with ChatGPT and SiSTeC, just to translate. For example, the period before the commas.
Okay, actually here I have two columns for this because I have another functionality which allow the user to identify the improvement of glossary. This one is quite good, so I don't use it. But later on, for the Mandarin side, I will show you how the glossary can be improved, and the system will record it down for further automatic collection when they meet the glossary again. So for that, I keep these two separately so that I can define the source and the target. Let me see.
It's exactly the same string.
For the same thing, so I think it's writer dependent.
Yes. So in the fine-tuning system, it will also capture all the different terminology or the glossary used by different contexts. And if we want to standardize it to a particular preferred glossary, then we can actually also define it inside the fine-tuning system. Okay, yes, you are right. For politicians, they can speak many different things. But normally for the religious talk or speech, I feel that the monk normally will speak quite repeatedly. Oh, Mr. Christian. Oh,
Bonjour.
bonjour.
How are you?
Fine, fine,
I
fine.
did not know I was invited to a meeting with
I replaced all the NLP API with GPT API, and the accuracy is much better now. And I think with that, we can actually develop near to synchronous interpretation scenario. Of course, they are still delayed, but shorter delay, probably 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so here
this glossary.
we will probably translate for this 4 section, and then move forward to see how we can make use of this. Okay, ChatGPT also quite like to do some prediction. So if I have nothing, they will try to write something. Okay, so that one we do. The result we can generate in many different ways. So for example, the 4 segment just now, we can ask ChatGPT to improve further by doing the paragraphing, for example. So here, okay, so here, for example, this is how ChatGPT restructured all the 4 segments. And also it provides, okay, let me enlarge it so that you can see.
Enlarge, please.
Bigger. Okay, so here, it structured it in this way. Okay.
So beautiful.
And it also provides a summary in 1 line. This gathering is to celebrate Mario's successful tenure as president of European Central Bank and to recognize his accomplishment. I think the summary is quite okay also. So yeah, this is one of the aspects. And we can also ask ChatGPT to improve the original talk. So here, this is how it tries to improve. Sometimes this might be useful. For example, when I present my English, sometimes it can be a broken English. So I will ask
Can
ChatGPT.
you enlarge, please?
Okay,
it's not readable.
Okay.
The other one.
No, but
So,
the other one, yeah.
is this improved version better than what the president have mentioned just now? I don't know. But I think this is quite standard thing, so it should be quite close to each other.
Is it ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 3?
3.5. The 4, you have not get their approval yet, but I think for linguistic ability, probably they will be quite close. For 4, I was told that is more for reasoning and other things. But actually, I'm quite satisfied with what 3.5 have been given. Okay, so here, given this text, we can always...
Dear Mario Draghi, President of the European Central Bank, Mr. President of the Republic. Dear Sergio, Mrs. Chancellor.
Okay, here I'm just using Google Speech Synthesis, but it's much better to use avatar now. There are many good avatars which can actually simulate the sound of the speaker, clone the sound of the speaker. So that one can be used here to actually take this text and then use the avatar to generate another video of the same speech. So the same also for the source.
Cher Mario Draghi, Président de la Banque Centrale Européenne, Monsieur le Président de la République. Cher Sergio, Madame la Chancelière. Chère Angela, Monsieur le Ministre Président du Land de Hesse. Madame la Présidente élue de la Commission européenne. Chère Ursula, Madame la Présidente désignée de la Banque Centrale Européenne.
So in this way, For example, for my speech, I can ask ChatGPT to improve it and then use the avatar to generate another video. So instead of the audience listening to me, they listen to my avatar, with much better English and clearer pronunciation. So a lot of the improvement can be done to a particular speech or talk. Okay, so this is what for the speech synthesis. We can also archive this text, and then we use the ChatGPT's question answering to answer question. Let me see. Okay.
For instance, a question, is Angela Merkel still in power?
Winston, answer. Still in power?
Yeah, when was this pronounced, and is now Angela Merkel still in power?
No, I think this I get from YouTube quite long ago.
No, but the question to ChatGPT.
Yes, in the question, can you ask ChatGPT to answer the question? Is Angela Merkel still Chancellor at this time?
This one, basically, this facility is to index our own text for question answering. If you ask for the real one, then have to go to the real ChatGPT. Okay. That one you have to ask the real ChatGPT. Okay. What just now? What? Which one? Angela
Merkel. You have the first name here, Angela.
This one?
No, this is Mario Draghi. Angela, A-N-G-E-L.
Oh, this is Angela. Okay. Now you can ask, is Angela
Merkel, M-E-R.
M-E-R-C-U
K-E-L.
K-E-L.
K-E-L, yes, not use.
Okay.
Still
The Chancellor.
Still Chancellor, for example. Yes.
Chancellor or what? Okay. Ask ChatGPT. No, Angela Merkel is no longer the Chancellor of Germany. She served as the Chancellor from 2005 to last year, 2 years ago. She was succeeded by Olaf. Okay. So this is the answer given by ChatGPT. But here,
is it ChatGPT 3.5 or is it GPT-4?
3.5.
Still one.
No, but this one is until 2021, so it should be fine for 3.5.
Okay.
So this one is more for indexing what we have transcribed, and the question will be answered based on the content of the transcription. So for example here, okay, we can always ask what is this gathering for. Or the purpose, oh no.
Gathering.
Okay, so you see here, this is the text system identified to be relevant. And this is the result generated. The gathering is to celebrate, blah, 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 successful tenure as a president. So, quite okay. Gathering refer to the gathering as spoken by Macron, President Macron, not our gathering. So here, I'm just trying to say that after transcription have been done for any of the talk, we can archive it such that later on, we can actually use the ChatGPT question answering ability to retrieve the answer for any of the question you would like to ask with regard to a particular speech or a talk. And this can be useful for many occasions. So basically, ChatGPT provided a whole range of linguistic ability to support most of the needs we probably want to have for a given content or a given interpretation section. Okay, so the same. Time is still have 9 minutes. Okay, no problem. So this round,
世界日期邮报天天读，各位好，我是杜平，现在马上给你读报。我们来先看一下大中华地区的新闻。中华地区
okay, so this round I'm using another video for Mandarin, Chinese. So for this one, sorry. Okay, for this one, we will retrieve segment by segment for the video just now. So the first segment is this one.
好，昨天全球都关心的一个话题就是中国在第一季度的经济的数据，昨天是公布。
So about 8 seconds. Okay. So here, probably the best is to stop by here. Sorry. Stop by here, and then we look at the
数
next
据
section.
昨天是公布了这些数据，那我们来看一下各地媒体是怎么报道的，以及怎么评论的。先来看一下，就是像
Okay, so this one is quite good.
来看一下，就是香港信报然后是德国之声。香港信报讲了中国内地的首季的 GDP 的就是高增长，
Oh, this one.
就是高增长达到4.5%，是超乎了想象。然后呢，就是当然他也提出了，就是说在这个方面还有一个欠缺，就是这方面还有一个欠缺，就是民企资本呢，这个在这方面经济发展方面好像弱了一些。然后呢，德国之声讲的中国上一个
So what are you doing exactly now? Preparing a new text?
cutting the transcription segment so that it will reflect
德
the
国之声讲的中国上季度 GDP 加速
the
增长，看它
segment
加速增长，
of
一年来
the
最说明就
sentences
是对
so that it
GDP
can be better for later on the missing translation. Because
Okay.
now the accuracy is quite high, so the post editor, apart from changing whatever the mistake, it can also taking care of the segment structure. And we try to maintain the timing of around 6 to 8 seconds.
So now does it translate
Okay, later
or
on.
play the video with a subtitle or something like that?
That can be produced later on. But ChatGPT now, they still don't provide the timestamping for the character. So it is a bit troublesome to create a subtitle, but I assume soon they will provide this information. So I'm at the moment focusing more on the accuracy of the transcription and also the translation. Okay, so for example, we stop by here. Okay.
这个经济复苏的这状况啊，有时候是跟外界的这个预测好像有一点点偏差，甚至超出了他们的想象。
Okay. Yeah. So now I can save this transcription, and then we'll be able to do the translation for this one. Okay, so these are the transcribed segment. Okay, so here this is the result of the ChatGPT machine translation, and this line here basically provide improvement of this translation result based on the English language grammar or English language style. Because for ChatGPT, they will try to translate by reflecting as close as possible to the source sentence. But that might not be a good English style of presenting the content. And I found that most of the time, the improved version is much better than the machine translation based on the source sentence. So I make use of this most of the time for preparing the translation. So in other words, there are many different improvement or suggestions ChatGPT can provide to assist the preparation of the translation of a sentence. But sometimes it takes longer time. That's why I have to wait for a while. So here, yesterday, this data were released. So let us take a look at the media different places. Yesterday, this data were released. So let's examine how the media in different locations. This is far better. There is a possible way to speed it up. It's just that now I have no time to do that because I do everything called in a sequential manner. Okay, so here, first let us take a look of Hong Kong newspaper. Oh, it's wrong. It's not the South China Morning Post. Xingbao is different. What is Xingbao? I think this is not the South China post. I shouldn't ask ChatGPT because it's go wrong. So I should ask Google. Please. Yeah, Hong Kong Economic Journal. Okay, so here we also have the glossary facility. So for example, here, I should highlight all this to change to the different one. Okay, there should be a faster way for doing this, but at the moment. Okay, for this Hong Kong Xingbao, I can actually ask ChatGPT what is the alternative, but since they have a wrong information, so they also provide a wrong suggestion here. So,
Next, there is another problem. The second part of the sentence is just meaningless. It is Deutsche Welle is just absolutely not what is said in the Chinese one.
okay,
It
that
means
is
that then you will handle, you will consider, and it's a future. Then it is no.
okay. This would
That
be
means nothing. The articulation of the discourse here is totally wrong, and also the tense. I mean the time. First, let us, then maybe let us consider, etc. You see.
probably followed by then. So this is how the glossary can be constructed.
Syntax.
Replace. But Xiangba, okay. So here I should tell the system that this should include this also, and that this one don't need. Okay, so Xianggang Xingbao is now replaced by Hong Kong Economic Journal instead of other possibility. So this is how the glossary can be prepared beforehand for a particular domain. Student will be able to do this task quite reasonable good. So for any occasion which they would like to do the interpretation, it can be done in this manner.
So it's really a matter of translation professional to be able to make that that work, that task to improve the quality of the results.
That is true for the practice of interpretation nowadays. That's why we have to always find an interpreter which knows the source language and the target language. But the difficulty is it is sometimes very difficult to find such person. And that is why for most of the event, even though there are audience who don't understand the source language, they can't listen to anything. Just like the Dharma talk I mentioned just now, those Chinese from China, they go to Myanmar and they listen nothing because they don't understand Myanmar. Neither, some of them, they also don't understand English. So shortcut solution, of course, the quality is not as good as a real interpreter. The shortcut solution is we will translate the source language into English. For example, Myanmar into English. And then by trusting that the English is having the accuracy or quality to a certain level, then we can get another person who know English and Chinese to translate from this English into Chinese. And then the Chinese will be able to listen to this translation to understand probably 90% of the talk. And it is very difficult to find a Myanmar to Chinese interpreter or translator. But however, if we go through English as a pivot, then it is much easier to find Myanmar to English and English to Chinese translator.
Yeah, of course.
So that is what this solution is for making the possibility of interpretation between two languages via English, and also finding the post editor, which can be easily gathered for the English keyword situation. And in fact, why I work with most of the universities, because most of the universities